The developer of the robot body, 2301 to 24,000. A nuclear war maimed nature and decimated humanity. Societies revived with time like weeds and adopted new values to adapt to their new surroundings. Nature was dying and health became unattainable. As men became bigger, sicker, and weaker, machines became smaller, smarter, and more powerful. They started to replace dying organs in dying men. Many bodies were kept alive by machines. Many people ended up in wheelchairs carrying whatever was left of their body and towing machinery to keep it alive. My father was one of the top Illuminati. He was very corrupt. He knew that the more stupid people were, the more exploitable they became. He not only wanted people stupid, but he wanted them to be sick as well. This was because he was in the healing business, providing people with medicines which made them able to stay alive and stay exploitable. People needed medicines because of their unhealthy lifestyles. They ate unhealthy foods and did not go to the expensive solariums and exercise spas enough. I felt sorry as a child for all of the misery caused by ill health, while my father and my family greatly profited from it. I set my goals at an early age that I would dedicate my life to ending this misery. I studied engineering and specialized in robotics. Against the wishes of my father, I developed and marketed a robot body that could not get sick and old and would not need any medicine. It was seen that the brain could be kept alive in a bloodbath as long as the sensory organs remained functioning. Once the sensory organs stopped working, the brain was observed to enter into a phase of senility and soon die. When the sensory organs were robotic, the brain continued to function as long as it was bathed in a fresh supply of blood. The parts of the brain that were there to regulate the body regulated the robotic organs instead. The signal for a rush of adrenaline was used to change gears in the pumps and nanomachines that moved your legs and fingers. Nanomachines converted nuclear energy of radioactive atoms into electrical energy used to move the brain around. When the digestive organs could be totally eliminated, robotic bodies were designed that were so light and flexible that they were able to wear backpacks that allowed them to fly. At first, the backpacks folded out into wings that rotated at a rapid rate like a helicopter. Later, more sophisticated models were designed that included rockets that made it possible to fly very high at very high speeds. Soon roads, cars, and even wheels became obsolete. A full-grown brain needed only sugar, salt, and air to function, and eventually blood was replaced by a special fluid similar to a soft drink called Coca-Cola. A lady who traveled back to the past, 2500 to 2600. Nuclear energy allowed mankind to make a craft that could go faster than the speed of light, and his robot body allowed him to ride it. The craft was the shape of an egg, the size of a car, and made of carbon mainly in the form of diamond. It was grown layer by layer, forming a seamless shell that could survive the pressures and temperatures found inside the sun. I was born the daughter of a detective. I was able to help my father solve a case against the Illuminati. He knew a lot about the secretive families who were set to rule the world. He felt that they were corrupt and wanted to uncover their corruption. I studied computer engineering and developed an algorithm which allowed signals that have been radiating outwards from all atoms to be captured, recorded, interpreted, and replayed. The device was able to track the radiations that were emitted from a top Illuminati 500 years ago, and still emitting from his remains where he was buried. A robot-guided recorder was sent back at over 1,000 times the speed of light to capture the radiations that were emitted from this Illuminati half a century ago. A conspiracy was uncovered to make people totally dependent on processed products to keep alive. There was a world plan to make people sick by depriving them of vital nutrients of nature. Foods were robbed of their nutrients. Sunshine was dreaded, and exercise was minimal. People were vaccinated from birth throughout their lives. They packaged these components in a cocktail of pills called supplements and health products. Signals originating from this most secretive and powerful man were tracked, recorded, and returned to be interpreted and replayed. Sound waves from vocal cords were the first to be replayed. Signals from eyes were more difficult to replay, but with computer enhancement and interpolating algorithms, a film of all sound and light from the past became available on public networks for all to hear and see. When people tuned in to these investigative documentaries, they were shocked. They heard and saw everything that happened behind closed doors in the secretive meetings of the few powerful men who sought to dominate the world. Inciting fear was their main weapon. Fear of God as well as the devil. Fear of enemies, neighbors. Hate was the ammunition used to fire the fear. Money was the whip and chain used to enslave and shackle people. Viruses were set loose, and vaccinations to fight them were sold. Sports and entertainment were used to satisfy the innate hunger for thinking and knowledge that all men had. People were more interested about the lives of the husbands and wives of the superstars than they were about their own lives. Unity of humanity was the main goal of the Illuminati, and they were willing to do anything to attain it. They caused wars to break out, knowing that wars caused people to sacrifice everything, even their lives. The knowledge that the private past life of anyone could be uncovered and recreated changed the entire world. It soon became the main form of collecting evidence in criminal cases, and crime was to a great extent suddenly eliminated.